All right, so tonight, I'll wait for more people to come on, but I have what I'm going to talk about tonight. I'm going to talk about foundation, like your foundation for your agency, right? But I'm not going to be on long tonight because tonight is the first night of the playoffs, and I'm a New Yorker by trade. So, I'm going to be watching the Knicks. I've been waiting for this since I was a kid. Literally for the Knicks to go to the playoffs and do something. And they're finally doing something. So I think the game started or the game is going to start soon. Um, but I keep my commitment to say I'm going to do my lives every night, talking about healthcare staffing, mindset, all the things, having conversations. Um, so tonight we want to talk about foundation. Like, what should your foundation look like, be like, sound like, feel like for your healthcare staffing agency? That's a nice, the background looks nice outside. Like, what should that like really look like, right? I am really big on foundation. And, a lot of people think foundation is just getting your LLC, getting your EIN, getting all of the formalities that you need to run your business in your desired. Because, like I said, and I always would say, you have to treat your healthcare staffing agency like a mini healthcare facility or a big healthcare facility, whatever. You want to treat it like that. So, you want to make sure that you're 100% compliant across the board, right? So, yes, the first step in building your foundation is the formality, having your LLC, your S Corp, depending on whatever your business attorney or tax accountant tell you. This is not business advice in that sense tell you to do, you have to have those things in place. If you require a license in said state to run a healthcare staffing agency, please do not skip the step and try to go back there and don't have a license. You're going to get in trouble. You must, I'll have to call her back. You must, I've been waiting for somebody to call me all day. She just called me back. You must have a license if you are going to operate in certain states. That's one step. So you want to find out what states require a license. And if you click the link in my bio, I have every single state, including Alaska and Hawaii, and it will tell you if the state require a license. It also gives you the link to where to get the license in said states. So some states require a registration. So there's three things. Some states don't require a license. You just need your regular business setup, which is your LLC, your business bank account, and all of that good jazz. Then there are states that just require a registration. It's not licensed. It's just you telling the state that I'm registering with, usually it's the Department of Health run a healthcare staffing agency in this state. That's just a registration. Like Connecticut, you get a registration, I believe it's $500. I believe Iowa is a registration, and there's a couple of other states that you just need a registration. This is not a license. That's two. And then there are states that you do require a license. You do require a license. There is a governing body that is over the healthcare staffing or nursing service pool or nurse registry, whatever they call it in said states. Like North Carolina, the Department of Health, it's called a nursing pool license. You need a license in North Carolina to have a healthcare staffing agency. The license is a free application. It's free. You don't have to pay any money for it. Even when you renew it every 2 years, because it's renewed every 2 years, it's free. Hey, hello, Dr. Carolyn. Is it Caroline? Carolyn? So it's free. In Florida, it's not free, and you do require to have a healthcare. I think it's a nurse registry's call in the state of Florida, and that's governed by the ACA, which is like the Department of Health and or Healthcare Administration, right? In Texas, you don't require a license. In California, you don't require a license. In Oregon, you do require a license. In Arizona, so every state is different. So when you're starting this business, depending on your state, and remember, you can start this business in any state. This business is 100% virtual, but just make sure that you know your state requirements. Do not skip that. How do you find your state requirement? 99% of the time, the state requirements is through the Department of Health. Hey, hon, because hey, it's Miss Good News. I think I know you because it's a healthcare staffing agency is governed by the Department of Health because it's a healthcare business. So 90% of the time, that's where it's run through. So that's how you can find them. You can call these agencies and ask them information. There's people there that work there that will give you information on how to apply and how to go about this and what you would need. Utilize your resources, right? So you want to make sure that you have a license in place to run a healthcare staffing agency. Do not confuse a healthcare staffing agency with a non-medical home health agency or a medical home health agency or a companion care agency. We are two separate entity, two separate industry. I mean, we're under the same industry, so we're under healthcare, but we're two separate disciplines or whatever you want to call it within the healthcare service space, right? We have totally different government rules, regulation, policies. We have different the workers' comp code is different, right? We have, it's totally different. So, hey, Joy, so don't confuse it. Healthcare staffing is not a home health agency. It's not a medical and it's not a non-medical. We have nothing to do with home health. We can staff home health agency because we provide staffing, but when it comes to home health, we're not home health. So I was speaking to someone one day and they asked me this question and she asked me like I think she was confusing home health with staffing, and she was talking about Medicare building and all of that stuff, and I said I think you're confusing it. It's And she was adamant and I was like, well, if you know, you know, right? But I was telling her we don't bill Medicaid. We don't bill any insurance. The only thing that we do is we send our clients, which is the facility, and they bill Medicaid or they bill whatever their insurance, we send them an invoice. We're not billing anybody on the healthcare staffing agency side. We don't need to do billing and coding and speak to insurance and stuff like that. So that's sometimes the confusion come in. So make sure that you apply for the right license if you require a license, and make sure you know what you're applying for, because you don't want to spend money wanting to do a healthcare staffing agency, but you're over here doing home health or non-medical, right? And then it's different. Home health is when a person is home and whatever the criteria is with insurance, that's a one-to-one model, right? That's one person you're taking care of to one clinician at a time. That's that model. Healthcare staffing is a one-to-many model, and that's why I truly love healthcare staffing, because I can place 10 clinicians, 20 clinicians, whatever the facility needs, to one client, which is my facility, which is my client, right? So instead of just over here on home health, and no shades of home health, like I always said, I like home health. I used to be a home health nurse. It's a one-to-one model. So I'm going to have to work on volume a lot to get to where I need to get to, right? In home health. In staffing, I can have one or two or three clients. Thank you, Cruz. I can have one, two, or three clients facilities and be having 10 staff in each facility. That's 30 staff, and just have that, right? So I don't have to go out and get 30 different clients. That's why I love staffing. I can staff home health agencies. If a home health agency needs a nurse, I can give them. If they need a CNA, I can give them one. If they need an LPN, LVNs, I can give them one. I staff those any healthcare establishment that uses healthcare professionals. So you can also staff them, but we're different, right? So just make sure you are licensed. Another part of your foundation that some people skip, and I hear, and since I've been mentoring and even throughout the years, I hear a lot of people say, well, I can't get it. They're not giving it to me because I am new, which is insurance. I'm gonna tell you this, and listen to me good. You need insurance to run this business unless you're going to be 1099, and be very careful with 1099, because healthcare professionals fixing, they're flipping patients, they're doing all the things. If they get hurt and you don't have workers' comp, even if they sign that you're a 1099 employee, if they're a 1099 employee, they can sue you directly, right? Because if I'm working for you and I'm out for and I slip and I fall or whatever, and I'm out for a year and I'm not going to be making no money, I'm going to figure out a way. I'm going to probably either sue you, a class action lawsuit, a civil lawsuit, something. And it happened. I've seen it happen. So you want to make sure also that you have insurance because you want to take care of your employees. If, like I said, if somebody fall, trips, slips, or bump their head, and I have workers' comp, and this is why I'm paying into workers' comp, and they can file a claim and they can get disability or workers' comp, whatever it is, for a period of time until they could get back on their feet. I'm doing my employees a justice, right? So you cannot always think about your bottom line. You have to also think about the long term of how it's going to benefit your employees. And that's how you get employees to stay with you too. You have to show compassion and you have to show that you care. So that's two. So the first one is make sure that you're licensed. The second one is make sure that you have the proper insurance, general and professional liability insurance, and workers' comp. Workers' comp, every state also. I don't even know what's going on here. Workers' comp, every state also. Hold on, guys. I'm streaming on like on like 4 different platforms. I have a phone here and a phone over here. Workers' comp in every state is different. Different laws, different regulation, different. The code is the same, but it's different. The underwriting is different. So make sure that you just know that going in, right? And also make sure that you know that workers' comp will audit you every single year just to make sure that what you told them on the application matches what you actually did in real life in your business. Can't escape it. It's just a part of formality. But if I always say if you're making money and you owe workers' comp a bill, don't be afraid of it. That means you made money, so you pay them. So that's one. That's two. Three is also part of your foundation is funding. Use other people money to build this business. They have unlimited capital, guys. Use other people's money to build your agency. Use other people money. One of the main things that a lot of people get stuck at when they're building this business is payroll. Their number one question is, how am I going to run payroll? Like, how am I going to pay 10 nurses or 10 professionals every week? I can only afford to pay two, so I'm only going to staff two because that's all the capital I have in the bank until my facilities start paying me. You're crippling and you're stifling your revenue out the gate. You don't want to do that. You don't want to cripple or staff or stifle your revenue. You want to be able to staff and start generating money. What business do you have if you're limiting your revenue cap when you have the ability to staff 10 and probably make $50,000? Why would you staff two and make $2,000, $3,000, right? And this is why you have to use other people's money. This is why you have to get a funding company on board, and that's a part of your foundation. Get a funding company on board, but get a funding company that knows healthcare staffing. Not a funding company that's coming into space and just saying, oh, we fund. Listen, they don't know the healthcare staffing space, and they will deny your potential client because they don't really know what to look for. They're just using probably an AI tool to run it, and they don't know exactly what to look for when it comes to healthcare staffing. I only work with and I only recommend to my mentees healthcare staffing agencies that's been in the game, that's solely specifically for health, that does healthcare staffing funding. I only recommend those because I have seen where I've tried to use other companies. I recommend other companies, and they used to do like factoring for trucking companies or factoring for other industries. And now they want to get into the healthcare staffing space because they see the money and the lucrativeness of it, but they don't really know it enough. They don't know it enough. So they're denying you or they're lowballing your line of credit. So you're not really getting the full potential out of the funding company. So when you're researching, oh, he's finished with the card. It's like everybody's texting me right now. So when you're researching your funding company, you want to ask these questions. First of all, you want to speak to somebody. Never sign a contract with a funding company until you understand their policies, their fees, their late payment. If you have to sign a contract, what does the contract entitle? Can I leave the funding company? How much notice do I have to give? Am I locked in for a year or 2 years? I don't recommend as a brand new agency owner for you to sign a contract that's going to lock you in for 2 years or 2 years, right? Because the funding company is going to fund you, but I want to be able to, if I want to move, if I want to do business with another company, whatever the case may be, then I don't have to worry about that. Some funding companies, especially the ones that are not healthcare staffing with experience, I noticed that they would try to lock you in a 2-year contract. And when you try to get out of it, they tell you, well, you can't get out of it, and regardless of whatever invoices you have to come through us, because the funding company put I think it's called a UCC or UCS lien on your company, so you can't go to another funding company until you take off that lien against your company. So do not sign. Just this is my recommendation. It's your business, like I always say, it's your agency. You can bill it how you want to, but this is from experience. Do not sign a 2-year agreement where it's locking you in as a brand new agency. You want to have the flexibility to leave your funding company if you want to. You may not leave them. You may like doing business with them. You may do great business with them. But as a new entrepreneur, a new agency owner, don't be locked into anything like that, into any long-term contract like that. You want to know your late fees. You want to know, what does your late fees look like? Like, okay, after how many days is, and how many percentage I'm going to charge you, right? You want to know if they also, if something happened, are they going to help you with litigation? Like, say a client default on the loan, or I mean on their invoices, and they're not going to pay. Is my funding company going to help me get my money and their money, right? Some funding companies will, some funding companies won't. They will say that's up to you, and actually they will come after you for the money that's owed, not the client, right? So you want to know those things up front. You want to know when the invoice are due, how much is it that they're going to charge you per invoice, the percentage, right? The factoring fee, that's what it's called a factoring fee. When the invoice are paid from the facility, when do I get my reserve, right? So whatever is left over is called a reserve. When do they pay that out? Who is my account manager? Who am I going to be dealing with on a weekly basis, a daily basis, and stuff like that? Am I going to be connected to a platform where I can see my outstanding invoice and who pays and stuff like that? These are like some of the questions that you want to ask going ahead. I mean, going into a funding meeting. And if the funding company have a problem with answering these questions, I would recommend not to work with them, because this is your business and these are questions that you have. And if I want that's what the funding company told me, right? But they have like probably 20 something facilities, so that's expected. So they will get a line of credit, and what happened is a revolving credit. So say one week you have say you have a client that's for 50K. One week you do 10, one week you do 5, one week you do 10, whatever. So say you run up to about 40K. Once they pay that 10, it goes back into the revolving credit, and it adds back. After, if they're doing really good, right? Because some facilities probably never used agency before, so they don't, probably sometimes they don't have credit, right? It's not that they have bad credit, they just don't have credit. So if I see a facility doing good and they're paying on time, and everything is going good, probably a little hiccup here and there, I will go back to the funding company and say, hey, they're good payers, they pay on time. Can we increase their credit limit to 75,000? They're going to give me more volume, Volume means more shifts, right? Like, so I can place more people, but I really need to increase my funding so I can cover the extra payroll. The funding company will look at everything, see if they're paying good. They, if I say 75, they may say, well, Shanika, we could do 65,000 instead of 75. We still want to keep them there. They're still pretty new in this space. Okay, no problem. But these are the conversation that you have to have with your funding company, because nothing is set in stone. Also with your fees. Right, so 3% is usually the standard fee that the funding company charge. Now, if you're bringing in this funding company money, you're bringing in the funding company money, I would say after a year, if you bring in your funding company $500,000 in a year and you go back and say, hey, I don't think 3% is fair anymore. Can we do 2% and 95% advance or whatever? That's what they're gonna pay you on your invoices. You just did $500,000 with them and you have great clients. They don't want to lose your business. So you guys have to learn how to negotiate also with your funding company. I have done this many times with my funding companies to say, hey, let's drop this percentage. Let's increase this advance. That's how much they pay me on my invoices, because I just did probably six figures or whatever or more. So I'm not going to continue to pay y'all 3%. I'm bringing you guys business, because what if you don't want to, well, somebody else will do a 2% and 95%, especially if you have clients that pay good. So you can negotiate, but this is if after you bringing in great revenue, after you have great paying clients, the funding company would definitely negotiate with you. So that's the great things about a funding company. They do background checks, right? And a rule of thumb that I teach: if the funding company says no to a facility, like they're not going to fund it, please don't turn around and say, well, I'm going to self fund. Now, you do whatever you want to do with your business. It's your business, it's your agency. But I have seen this time and time and time and time again. It's like you just have to learn the hard lesson, right? So I have seen this time and time and time again. I have seen where the funding company says, no, we can't self fund. They have bad credit. They probably file for bankruptcy. They don't pay. They pay 90 days instead of 30 days. They're not going to pay. They're like, they know the agency game. Like, they know that it takes 30 days for them to pay us. So they will bring on new and this happens for a lot of new agencies. They will bring on new agencies and they will play. It's just like a merry-go-round for them. They will probably pay the first invoice, but don't pay nothing else and run up a bill. It has happened. And then the funding companies tell you, no, we're not going to fund them. And then you because it's just, just human nature, you self-fund. So you spend all of your capital, your hard-earned capital, your own money, and you self-fund. And what happened is they don't pay your invoices. And the funding company is not going to help you with litigation or anything like that, because it's not their money. They didn't fund it. So I listen to my funding company. Have there been clients that I want to do business with that tell me that they're going to give me like volume? When I say volume, like 500 to 1,000 hours a week. Yes, there are clients that have done that. When I send their information to the funding company to run their background, to run their information, and they get denied, I'm not doing business with them. Because if you're giving me 1,000 hours a week, that could be a $30,000 week from one facility, and I'm not paying that out of my pocket, and you're not going to pay me my money, right? So I'm okay with letting clients go that I know it's not going to pay me, because this is not a hobby. This is not a side hustle, right? It's not like I'm going to get up and go to work tomorrow and go clock in for a shift. It's not this. This is my business. This is my empire I'm building. And I'm not going to allow you to destroy it because you want to play this Russian roulette or play this game, knowing, thinking that I don't know what I'm doing. So that's another reason why I like the funding company, because they really have your back. I mean, it is their money, but they really have your back to direct you in the right way with your clientele, and making sure that you're partnering with the right clients. You want to make sure that you're partnering with the right clients in this industry, right? The right client can make or break your healthcare staffing agency. Because remember, you have professionals that are going to be going into these buildings and working. You want to make sure that they're treated properly. I don't play that game where your agency and you make more so you can do more. Okay, I understand that we make more, but you need staff, right? And your staff is complaining and your staff is tired. So if my staff shows up and you're mean to them, you guys don't need staff. right? So I have no problem. And these are after conversations, because things will come up. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to communicate what your staff is telling you, your professionals are telling you, to the administrator, the DO, and the executive director, whoever is in charge, and you have to come to a resolution. But if this is just like a real nasty facility and they really treat your staff really bad, and I can't get any staff to go in the building because their reputation is just really bad, it makes no sense for me to continue to partner with you, because the leadership in the building is just nasty, and it's not going to change until the leadership changes. This is why you guys probably have such a horrible staffing issue. And guys, you guys have to be okay with walking away from clients. You cannot put your money and your revenue over your professionals, because your professionals will go to back for you. They will work hard. They will do doubles. They will do doubles every day. They will travel for you. They will do what they need to do to help you build your agency. You have to learn to take care of them. And I'm telling you, I've learned this. You have to learn to take care of them. Maybe because I'm a nurse and I kind of know it, but you just have to learn how to take care of them on the professional side and stuff like that. Don't ever put money before your professionals, because it's going to be hard to get back that professional, because if you have no professionals to go into these buildings, you're not going to make any money anyway. So there you go. And there's plenty of healthcare facilities. You can always get the facility that goes with your standard, that goes with your vision. So that's the funding company. Right. And the next part of your foundation is making sure that you have all your your taxes together. Right. If you're in a state that requires a state tax ID, you get your state tax ID. These are steps you don't want to skip. If you're in a state that requires an unemployment, well, every state requires unemployment tax ID. Figure out what the state tax is. Figure out what your overhead is. Figure out what your burden is. These are the things that you need to figure out as a part of your foundation. Don't just say, I have my LLC, I'm ready to staff. No, you have to make sure that you're compliant, and make sure that you're 100% compliant, and then you'll be ready to staff. So those are like four of the top foundational, what I can say, foundational things that you need to have in place to start your agency, or you should have in place before you start your healthcare staffing agency. One, make sure if you need a license, you get a license, right? Two, insurance, especially workers' comp. Make sure you have that in place, especially if you are a W-2 employee. Do not skip that, right? Three is funding. Make sure you're using other people's money. That's how billion-dollar businesses are built. You think any of these billionaires had $1 billion laying around? Use other people money to staff your to build your agency, to fund your payroll. And I always say, if your numbers are right, that money will staff your payroll, pay you, and help you build your agency, right? That's how you go from one state to two states to multiple states. That's how you become a multi-state healthcare staffing agency with other people's money. I cannot stress that enough. There is so much money out there to help you build this business. Yes, you're going to need some startup capital to do some of the foundation stuff, but when you start building and you start putting staff in buildings, and you start generating revenue, and start doing invoices and getting paid, that money should be able to run your business. You shouldn't have to put any more capital, like your personal capital, in it. It should be all from the business. But if your numbers are right, and I'll talk about bill rates tomorrow, right? So that's three, that's funding. And then four, make sure that you have all of your tax things together before you step into a facility, before you start lead generation. So you want to make sure that your foundation for your healthcare staffing agency is laid, right? Anybody have any questions about foundation for your healthcare staffing agency, or anybody have any question about healthcare staffing agency? I know I'll be on here like I'm doing a speech, but it's very important that you get your foundation together, right? It's very, very, very important. Don't come in this industry, guys. This is a multi 400, probably more now, $1 billion industry, right? It's healthcare. It's not going nowhere. I don't care what they say about cuts. I don't care what they say about Medicare. I don't care what they say about what they say. It's an industry that's not going anywhere. Actually, the industry is going. I actually got a new magazine. I got to read it. with, and especially with AI now, things are moving rapid fast. Like you can close contract faster. You can do a lot of more stuff faster. You can place staff faster. It's an industry that's speeding up. And the faster it speed up, the more money you can make and the quicker you can make the money because of the AI tools that are out there. So don't be afraid to step into this industry, but step into this industry right. Step in this industry and just do the right thing. The money's gonna come, the clients are gonna come, the professionals are gonna come, right? What I was gonna say, I think that's it. I have to go watch the next game. Let me see what time it starts. Does anybody have any questions about anything healthcare staffing? Um, I'm looking at to see what time the game started. I think the game started. Oh, the game starts. The game just started. I'm gonna go watch the game. I'm a New Yorker, so definitely watching the Knicks. I hope I have a good feeling that we're gonna win. All right, y'all. So if anybody's interested in learning more about healthcare staffing, I'm hosting a free masterclass next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully, there's not a Knicks game on. Is there going to be a Knicks game on? I don't know. Hopefully, there's not a game on. Um, Next week, but if there is, I'll figure it out. So if you want to learn more about the healthcare staffing space, how to build it from the ground up, I'm going to be teaching a free masterclass on 3 simple steps on how to build your healthcare staffing agency. You can click the link in my bio to register for it. It's next week, Wednesday the 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's free. And you will receive a Zoom link. If anyone is interested in learning more about healthcare staff and you said, listen, I've been thinking about this for a long time and I really want to get into this space, you can send me a DM or you can click the link in my bio and you can book a free consultation with me. I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about money and we're going to talk about bill rates at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Also on Fridays, I'm going to be doing a behind the scenes because I think sometimes you need to see what actually goes into the business. Like I could talk about the business, I can tell you exactly what to do, but I want you to come and see exactly what I do day to day, right? Day to day in building my healthcare staffing agency, day to day in building my mentorship business, and with my mentees and stuff like that. What's the behind the scenes look like? Because sometimes you have to see it to believe in it. Sometimes you have to see it to say, I can do that too. It may sound complicated, it may sound like a lot of steps, but when you actually see like, oh, okay, I can implement that too. So I'm gonna be doing like a CEO desk. It's like a co-worker space live on TikTok on Friday from 12:30 to 1:30 if you want to join. It's posted on my page. So if you want to, save the post or stuff like that. All right. So I'm gonna go watch the game. I'll see you guys tomorrow. If anybody have any questions about healthcare staffing, send me a DM. If anybody would want to learn more, join the free masterclass, which is next week, the 10th. And if anybody want to join me to see what I actually do day to day running my healthcare staffing agency and my mentorship business, you can join me Friday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. So have a great night. Be blessed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.